Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
Writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
All right, how's everybody doing out there tonight? I gotta admit, it's been a rough weekend. Especially for the men and women in law enforcement. Yeah, I know, I didn't tell you I miss you when I'm not talking to you, which is always true. But I've got a bit of a rant stuck inside me. And for multiple reasons, this rant needs to get out before I sit down to my Thanksgiving dinner. Now, for those of you who are outside the United States that may listen to this particular show, Thursday in the United States is a national holiday. It is called Thanksgiving. It is a day where we gather around a table absolutely chock full of food, eat with family and friends, and quite frankly, overeat with family and friends, and tell tales and share memories, yada, 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 yada. All right. So this show, there will be an episode. I'm actually putting together a very special Thanksgiving episode, and I promise this one will happen, that will air, but it will not be live. I am taking the day off. Sorry, folks. You have me quite an abundance of the time, and I love doing this show. But I have family coming in from out of town. I've got soldiers who can't make it home for the holidays that are coming to my house. I have a huge abundance of food to cook. Oh, yeah. All right. If I've got time at the end of the show, I'll tell you my menu. It's extensive. No, it is huge. Now back to my rant. All right. Back to my rant. 4 police officers shot in 24 hours in 4 cities. 2 of the shootings are believed to have been targeted just because they wore a law enforcement uniform. I'm going to let that sink in. 4 police officers were shot in 4 separate cities in 24 hours. Folks, that's huge. The only other night I can think of where we had a whole bunch of officers killed, it was in Dallas. One officer died. One was shot in the face, expected to survive. That's 2 of the 4. A San Antonio detective writing a traffic ticket to a motorist was shot to death in his squad car late Sunday morning outside police headquarters. Outside police headquarters. I mean, really? It's a horrific act of violence. There's no other way about it. In St. Louis, a police sergeant was hospitalized in critical condition, but expected to survive after being shot twice in the face Sunday night. Yeah. I mean, what is this country coming to? What is... There was a shooting in Kansas City. Gladstone PD stopped a vehicle on a traffic violation. Someone ran from the vehicle. Gladstone police gave chase. Officers tried to take him into the suspect. Shots were fired. This country is definitely, and I'm sorry, I know I don't normally do U.S. news. You know my heart for the soldiers? Do you think my heart is any smaller for the military? Really? No, I love the men and women in blue. Basically, if you protect this country here at home, because you wear a uniform of police, fire, EMS, emergency medical services, ambulances, dispatch, you work as a corrections officer in a jail, a prison, a penitentiary, take your pick of terminology. Yeah, I know they're all kind of different, but they're all kind of the same too. You are a member of the Coast Guard. You are a member of TSA. Well, maybe not TSA. You're a member of Border Patrol. You wear one of those uniforms that protects and defends this country day in, day out, where you may not come home at the end of the day, be it military or domestic. You have my support, 100%. And, like I said, this is absolutely it's been out of control. I remember the night, and it was one of my early nights on air. I hadn't been with the station long. In fact, we were under different call sign then. And yeah, I was covering a live breaking news story about 6 officers being gunned down. I mean, St. Louis, Gladstone, Missouri, Sanibel, Florida, and San Antonio, Texas. 4 attacks on officers in one day. It's a very alarming sign of the times. In July, 5 officers were killed in Dallas by one man. In Baton Rouge, 2 weeks after the Dallas incident, 3 officers were killed and 3 others were wounded. There was a police officer killed in Georgia, I believe, because he responded to a call. I mean, this is just getting out of control. I agree with people's right to peacefully protest. You file for the permit, you do your march, you stand, you hold protest signs, you yell or you scream. You do not block roads. You do not hurt anybody else. You do your thing. You make your point known. I am all for that. Absolutely, 100%. This noise, and yeah, I'm going to call it noise, about that Black Lives Matter was spreading, and I have a feeling still is. What do we want? When do we want? What do we want? Deceased cops, and I'm cleaning up the language. When do we want them? Now. And then there's the lovely statement, pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon. And those are just some of the lines I can quote on air. There are many stories I cannot. Comments of theirs and their followers that I cannot quote on air. This is nuts. Look, man, this is absolutely insane. And I understand police officers, they do have that potentiality every day when they put on that bulletproof vest and walk out the door. But 4 in one day. That's absolutely insane. Police Detective Benjamin Marconi was sitting in his cruiser writing a traffic citation near the police station when a car pulled up behind him. Someone got out and shot him. Then the shooter drove off. Now, the article does say, and I want to make this clear, the driver of the vehicle who'd been pulled over for the traffic citation had no role in the tragedy. All right? I want to make that clear. I'm sitting here just practically dumbfounded. This is the kind of behavior you expect in the Wild Wild West. And you're going to get a second rant tonight. I'm going to keep this one brief. Back in the Wild West, everybody carried guns. Well, most everybody. I'd say 85 to 90% of the people carried a sidearm, or a shotgun, or a rifle. They weren't aiming for two-legged people 90% of the time. They carried it protection against wild animals. I hate to say this, but I do have a concealed carry permit. And I don't always exercise my right to carry. I have a sneaky feeling that's going to change quite a bit. Quite a bit. I'm sorry, an armed citizenry. If people that are doing this kind of nonsense, walking up and just shooting police officers or trying to murder police officers, know that 80 to 70, even 75% of the population at large as a whole is armed, especially a state like Texas. Come on. Texas is solid red. Now, what does that mean? That means that I'm willing to bet, although there are some blue patches, that means that most people in Texas own a firearm. And I'm willing to bet there are more than a handful of NRA or National Rifle Association members in Texas. I am flat out willing to bet that one. I don't even need to think about that one. That one's just fact. I don't know how to put this, but this is getting so out of control. And that's why I had to get this out before when I got off the air tonight, I went about my day of cleaning the house, getting everything ready. Just have friends and family over on Thursday. I will be live with you tomorrow night. But I must say, I'm hoping to have some fun stories tomorrow. I'm trying to work on something fun and special. Because I want you to go into Thanksgiving Day with the same attitude I'm going in. And the first thing I have to say that I'm thankful for, and I repeat this every year, is I am thankful to be alive for one more year. I have lived to see another year come and pass. Now granted, the calendar year's not over till January. But I was here at Thanksgiving last year, and I'm here at Thanksgiving this year. We're never guaranteed tomorrow. So I am thankful to have lived the past year. Alright, it's almost the bottom of the hour. I think I'm going to step off my soapbox and pay those bills on commercial break. When we come back, we'll get along with the normal news that I usually cover. Who knows, maybe I've got a Mosul update, Iraq, Afghanistan, DOD. What do I have hiding? You know I've got something. You know I do. Alright. You folks, hang in there with me, and I will see you on the other side.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
You can lay down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play dead if you wanna. Forget what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country needing you right now, but I don't wanna.
All right, thank y'all for hanging in there with me. I think I let that go just a moment too long because I was caught up in trying to find the right spot in a very special song. And I apologize for that. This whole police officer thing has me a little bit rattled. No less rattled than what I'm about to report on overseas. Well, a little bit more, actually. Sorry. This is here in my backyard. That's not. That's half a world away. What can I say? It is definitely one of those horrific things. All right, back to our usual stories. Iraqi Shiite militias were amassing troops on Monday to cut the remaining supply route to Mosul, Daesh's last major stronghold in Iraq, closing in on the road that links the Syrian and Iraqi parts of its self-declared caliphate. 5 weeks into the U.S.-backed offensive on Mosul, Daesh is fighting in an area of the Tal Afar that is 40 miles to the west against a coalition of Iranian-backed groups known as Popular Mobilization Forces. Remember, Iran's in the middle of this too. You cannot forget that. What, you tell me you don't have your scorecard handy? Alright, quick overview on the scorecard. For anybody who doesn't have theirs handy or just needs to make a new one or make one for the first time. Welcome, new listener. Alright, we're going to get this. This is the Iraq scorecard. Remember, it's different from the Syria one, but there are some interconnected parts. Daesh. A group that most countries, without a doubt, most people on this planet, without a doubt, will call evil and terrorists. So we're going to label them terrorists and pretty much bad guys. Now remember, they're in Syria and Iraq. Bashar al-Assad isn't so much worried about Daesh as he is, quote, the terrorists in his country, which are the Free Syrian Army or the moderate Syrian rebels. Alright, back to Iraq. Iraq wants to kick Daesh out. Okay. The U.S. and its coalition is supporting the Iraqi army. The U.S. and its coalition is supporting the Kurds, who are fighting alongside, well, not directly alongside, but in the same areas as the Iraqi army. Then you have the popular mobilization units that are being supported by Iran. Now, we do have that Iran nuclear deal thing, but we're not going there tonight. We're on, I'll just put it this way, shaky ground with Iran, depending on which administration and who you want to talk to. Alright, fair enough? Alright, so we've got Iraq, Iran, the U.S. coalition. Now, then you add in the Turks. The Turks want to be included, but Iraq doesn't want them included. That's the real quick thumbnail version of your Iraqi Mosul fighting against Daesh scorecard. Okay? Okay. Cutting off the western road to Tal Afar would seal off Mosul, as the city is already surrounded to the north, south, and east by Iraqi government and Kurdish Peshmerga forces. The Kurds are the Peshmerga. Government's U.S.-trained counterterrorism service units breached Daesh defenses in East Mosul at the end of October and is fighting to expand a foothold it gained there. The road to Tal Afar is no longer safe, said a truck driver who used it 2 days ago to bring in fruit and vegetables from Raqqa, Daesh's Syrian capital. He said he saw 3 trucks burning on the road while fighting raged in the vicinity. This is the last time I drive on this road. It will be cut. Insurgents who communicate with the outside world are punished with death. And as if you have learned anything about Daesh, they don't do anything quick, easy, or nicely. Iraqi Air Force, supporting the popular mobilization groups in their fight near Tal Afar, carried out airstrikes that killed 15 insurgents. Yeah, Iraq does actually have an Air Force. Now, why isn't the U.S. coalition supporting the popular mobilization units? Because the U.S. said no. We do not have formal diplomatic relations with Iran. Why should we support and defend their troops? The campaign to capture Mosul started on October 17th with air and ground support from the U.S.-led coalition. The Popular Mobilization Forces joined the offensive at the end of October, attacking Tal Afar and capturing the airbase just south of the town on November 16th. The offensive on Tal Afar could draw on Turkey, which fears Iranian-backed groups taking over a town mainly populated by ethnic Turkmen, Sunnis, and Shiites, which lies close to the Syrian-Turkish border. Turkish President Erdogan said that Ankara will respond if the militias cause terror in Tal Afar. Iraqi Prime Minister Haidar al-Abadi tried to allay fears of ethnic and sectarian killings in Tal Afar, saying any force sent to recapture it would reflect the city's diversity. The Mosul campaign is turning into the biggest battle in Iraq's 13 years of turmoil since the U.S.-led invasion that toppled Saddam Hussein in 2003. Alright, so there's your Mosul update. I've got an audio clip for you on the next one. Just gotta get it queued up. Alright, give me just a sec to get this queued up. I thought I had it queued up, but I forgot one button. I forgot just one little button. And there went the water bottle off my desk onto the floor. Thankfully, that one was empty.
The United States condemns in the strongest possible terms the attack this morning on a Shia mosque in Kabul. an attack that killed more than 30 innocent worshippers and wounded what looks to be more than 50 people. We extend our deepest condolences to the families and the friends, obviously, of all those killed and injured and affected by this attack. We will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Afghanistan, and we remain firmly committed to helping build a secure, peaceful, and prosperous future in Afghanistan, which is free of sectarian violence. That's Matt.
Okay, that was the State Department's official statement. Now, yeah, I know, we are not going to get into how the guy read it and how enthusiastic he sounded saying it, okay? We're just going to leave that alone. Much as I'd like to say it, but you have to realize he's probably said it 10 times. Without a doubt. Alright, moving on. Let's discuss the issue he brought up. The attack this morning on a mosque in Kabul. Okay, that's more on the police. Looking for the story. A suicide bomber has killed at least 27 people at a Shia Muslim mosque in the Afghan capital of Kabul. Many more were wounded in a blast at the annual Shia ceremony at the Bakar al-Ulum Mosque in the west of the city. The attacker arrived on foot and blew himself up among worshippers inside. Daesh said it was behind the blast. It is the latest of several recent attacks on Afghan's Shia community claimed by the Sunni Muslim militant group. Alright, Shia versus Sunni. Real thick, 10-second answer. Shias and Sunnis didn't agree on who was to succeed Muhammad. That was when Muhammad passed away like several centuries ago. They're still fighting over this and many more things now. Eyewitnesses said the service was almost over when the bomb was detonated. Police gave the figure of 27 dead, but UN assistance mission in Afghanistan said that 32 were killed and more than 50 were injured. Some reports suggest even a higher number of wounded. Daesh said the attack was carried out by a Daesh fighter, but gave no other details on its self-styled Amaq news agency. I was inside the mosque and the mullah was reading the prayer. Awaz Ali, who suffered minor injuries, told the AP. Suddenly a huge explosion happened, then everywhere was dark. When the dust settled, another worshipper said, when the dust settled, all I saw was the mosque was full of flesh and blood. I was injured in my waist and had to crawl out of the mosque. Local reports suggest that women and children were among the dead. There has not been a proper census for more than 40 years, but it is estimated that around 20% of the Afghan population are Shia Muslims. The rest are Sunni. Most of Shia Muslims come from Tajik and Hazara ethnic minorities. They have been spared levels of sectarian violence seen in Pakistan, Iraq, but have been targeted at least 3 times in recent months. This is not the first time. Now, what I find interesting, one of these last sentences in the article, Taliban militants were quick to distance themselves from Monday's attack. We condemn this blast, Taliban spokesman Zabullah Mujid told a reporter. This act cannot be our work and has nothing to do with us. President Ashraf Ghani called the attack an attempt to sow seeds of discord. Afghan government chief executive Abdullah urged the country not to fall victim to enemy plots that divide us by titles. This attack targeted innocent civilians, including children, in a holy place. It is a war crime and an act against Islam and humanity. That is a horrific act. It truly is. Alright. Got a couple of other stories here. You're not quite done with me yet. Monday's bombing took place at 12:30 local time during a service to commemorate the death of Imam Hussein, the Prophet Muhammad's grandson, and a Shia martyr. In other words, this is a day, it's kind of like our version of Christmas where everybody goes to church. Or for the Jews, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. Alright, let's move on to Yemen. A 2-day ceasefire after nearly 2 years of war in Yemen expired at midday on Monday and will not be renewed, a spokesman for Saudi-led military coalition told Al Arabiya TV, with each side blaming the other for violations. 48-hour truce announced unilaterally by the Saudi coalition on Friday failed to halt fighting across the country between the Iran-aligned Houthis. Wait a minute, didn't we just talk about Iran-backed troops? Yeah. Here's more. And Saudi-led forces. Gulf Arab states led by Saudi Arabia launched a military offensive on the side of exiled President Abba Rabu Mansour Haid's government in March 2015, after the Houthis, backed by government troops loyal to former President Ali Abdullah Saleh, advanced on Hadi's temporary headquarters in Aden. Hadi was forced to flee to Saudi Arabia. The 20-month conflict has killed more than 10,000 people and displaced more than 3 million. Residents in the capital of Sana'a said that Saudi-led coalition jets had bombed army bases on a mountain overlooking the city earlier on Monday, and that the force of the explosion had shaken buildings in several nearby cities. Again, I have an audio clip for you on that. Let me pull it up.
We are here.
Wrong audio clip. Here's the right one.
And the ceasefire that the Secretary had talked about after his meetings in Oman. And as you pointed, you or he or someone in a statement pointed out, it had begun, but now it's ended and it's not going to be extended. And I'm just wondering, what happened here? Was it a failed attempt, or is it something that you still think you can resuscitate?
I think it's definitely something the Secretary is still pursuing. And I would tell you that he had a conversation this morning with the Deputy Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, as well as Foreign Minister Al-Jaber, about this issue. He has also spoken today with the UN Special Envoy, Ahmed, about this. So he's still working very hard to see a cessation of hostilities put in place and to remain in place so that we can get to a political outcome in Yemen. Now, again, we've seen, we've certainly seen comments by at least one Saudi military official that the ceasefire had ended. I'll let them speak for the degree to which they still believe that that's the case. Clearly, there have been, without question, there's been continued violence since the inception of it over the weekend. There's also no question about that. But from the Secretary's perspective, he's committed to trying to get a cessation of hostilities that can be sustained and maintained in Yemen so that humanitarian aid can get to people and that the political talks can resume.
Right. Well, is it your view that it ever got off the ground?
All right. I didn't really want to hear any more of the babble. I'm going to sign off tonight the way I do every time I read a DoD casualty. Tell you what, we're just going to call this one. We can talk Thanksgiving menus tomorrow. The shootings of this weekend are weighing a little heavier on me than I thought. So I'm going to sign off now, start taps, and let that be my final message for the day.